Hello. 2 weeks ago, I came live on Facebook, wishing you all a happy Pongal, a happy Bihu, and a happy Makar Sankranti. It was the first time I was coming live on Facebook, and there was a reason behind it. It was because I got involved in an accident which kind of transformed my life. This happened somewhere between August and September last year. It was a lovely accident, I have to say, a blessing in disguise, because it generated a passion in me for which I'm very grateful. And that is the seed which has set in motion many activities, which one of this is coming live, and I'm going to be undertaking very many more activities in the coming days and months. For sure, you will be seeing more of it. This accident happened when I had gone to NIT for the World Alumni Meet. Along with the fun and celebrations, I had opportunities to meet with a lot of the young and motivated students of our college. Also, there was my dear course mate, Apuni Ravindran, or Group Captain A. Ravindran. We both have been batchmates, roommates, did mechanical engineering together, and then our colleagues in the Indian Air Force too. And we continue to be very good friends. Ravindran had commanded very many air NCC units, and he had got in touch with the NCC unit in NIT. And he had a good relationship with the students and the directing staff. And as part of being connected with them, he had started a WhatsApp group in which I also was a member. And the idea of this WhatsApp group was to answer the queries of all the students or the students who were interested to join the forces, as well as clarify their doubts and questions. While interacting with them, many of them used to ask this question: sir, does the selection process to the forces have a particular process? How do we know we have the qualities which the Air Force or the Army or the Navy is looking for? Could we improve our personality? If we don't have those qualities, can we improve those qualities? And many such associated questions. So to make these children understand what their personality or what their persona was, I decided that I'll create a kind of a questionnaire. The reason for doing this is because I had learned a personality evaluation process when I was in the Air Force, and I put those questions into a kind of Google form which they could fill and submit to me online, and then I would evaluate them and tell them what their personality type was, what their strength was, what their weaknesses was, so that they could then work on those weaknesses or work on their strengths and develop a complete personality. Well, I did it. I sent it on them. Many of them attempted it on when I sent it on the WhatsApp. They're quite happy. One of the NCC youngsters said, "Sir, why don't would you permit me to post it on the NIT website so that many more students can do this, can complete this personality test?" I said, "No issues." I just thought maybe another 10 or 15 more students would come up, or maybe another, so not a big problem. So, but that's where my reading was wrong. I should say the accident happened. He put it on the web and I got some 328 responses. This response overwhelmed me. This is not what I expected. But now I had to evaluate each of these responses, put them through the process where I could typify them into some basic personality types, and also provide a true picture of their true personality against their outside personality or the image they showed the world. And so that if there is any dichotomy, it could be improved upon. The problem was, it was a manual process and it took time. Doing that was not hard, but it was time consuming. And during that analysis, I learned a lot what goes on in the heads of these children. Another thing I realized that these respondents were not only undergrads, but they were postgrads and also research students. And now the kind of information which was coming out, or the kind of picture which was emerging of these Gen Z youngsters, was quite interesting. I shall now conclude this part and come back to you in a week's time. And when I come back, I shall tell you what these Phil Google Sheets reveal about what's going on in the heads of these youngsters. Thank you. See you next time. Bye for today. Hello friends, back with you with part 2, with such a lot of positive strokes from all of you. I thought it was not right delaying part 2 so long. Actually, having received such an overwhelming response on the questionnaire, on the personality evaluation form, was great. But along with the good came the problem. The problem was that I had to evaluate each of these forms, one form at a time, to really work and find the personality traits of these individuals who had responded. I had to. It was fun. Even though it was manually, it was fun to really, because I loved to see what was coming out. But as I was evaluating that response, a thought came to my mind. I was telling myself, friend, are you getting into an area which is to be dealt by psychologists or trained counselors, for which I had no expertise, or I was not even qualified? But then I said to myself, no. These children are not those children who require a psychologist or a counselor's help. These children fitted a group what I had read about in a book called Diffusion of Innovation. It's a 1962 publication written by Mr. Everett Rogers, where he talks that in any group, 13.5% of the sample size, or 35 people of that sample, will fall into a category called early adopters. Now, what are these early adopters? These early adopters are the people who appreciate the advantage given or what they get out of listening or evaluating new ideas or technologies. They are early to recognize that new ideas and new values can give them a head start, and they are ready to take that risk to see what this new technology or new idea is. But my gut feeling was that these were the people, or these were the students who had responded, because they wanted to see, okay, what is this guy telling me? This form is saying, let me see what this guy is going to tell me about my personality. What is that, or what new can I find by filling up this form? And over the next 6 days, I evaluated all their forms and sent each of them an email telling them that this is your personality trait, and it gave them a certain score which told them what their inside or their outside behavior is and what their true behavior is. We'll talk about this a little later. And also, it gave them an indication what their strength was, what was their strong point, and what was that was their primary strength and what was their secondary strength. And along with this, I sent an attachment in that email which described all the personality, the core personality traits, and how they would be seen in each individual. Now, I was curious also to get a feedback from these people. So after a while, I sent an email to all of them again with a thing to find out, with a rating scale, which they had to rate me. And in that, the reply I got from around 84 of these respondents was that they gave me around 33% with a 5-star rating. Another 47% gave me a 4-star rating. Another 14% gave me a 3-star rating. And another 2% gave me 2-star. Another 2% gave me 1-star. Thus, about 80% of the evaluants, or respondents of the evaluation, said that it gave them a near true picture about themselves. And they were happy with what was found and what was their strengths and weaknesses. Also, in this feedback performer, I had asked them another pointed question, was whether they would suggest this performer or recommend this performer to their friends, to which most of them, that is nearly 80% of them, said yes. That was quite a moral booster to me at that time. The other thing which happened, which was really, which was on my mind and which I was not knowing how to do, was speak to these students. Around 26 of these students got back to me saying that they wanted to speak to me in person. Oh, well, that's what I also wanted to do, because I wanted to see the human element behind this form. Basically, to understand them a little better. And they were, in the sense, dealing with young adults was not a problem for me, because when I was commanding a training establishment in the Indian Air Force, we used to deal with young boys who used to join the Indian Air Force just after finishing their +2. Most of them were coming from remote parts of India, or from rural hinterlands, and they were fresh out of school and coming out from the comforts of their house and their families and into a kind of environment that is the Indian Air Force training establishment, where they didn't really know what the Air Force was going to make of them. This created a lot of self-doubt in them, which required to be handled. But the IAF has a process, and most of these boys in 18 months passed out as young, confident air warriors who had the confidence, knowledge and skill required to handle aircrafts worth millions. Now, it's not that all of them had the same kind of caliber or had the same kind of skill sets, or, but the process was able to develop in them that confidence. And they were able to deliver what was required out of the organization. Thus, a process can transform people. But since all, what we say, it's one size doesn't fit all, is true there. Thus, with a little bit of hand-holding, a little bit of guidance, a little bit of mentoring, telling them, you could really make them deliver performance beyond their own expectations. Thus, if these boys who came from such remote parts of India could be transformed, I felt most of these young engineers from NIT could be worked on. Hence, I decided to work with these kids. These kids are basically intelligent and have come to this college after a level of screening by attaining a certain rank in all India level merit. Talking to these highly intelligent and energetic youngsters was an eye-opener. They had so many questions. Most of them whom I spoke wanted to know, they were quite pointed questions. They wanted to know how to, improve themselves, what skills they needed when they go out in the market, what are those skills which are in high demand. Many of them wanted to know how to improve their acceptability within a group and how to improve their self-image, get over certain fears. Very basic. And best part of most of these questions was they just needed simple answers. But the students didn't realize it. Once they realize it, they can start working on it to develop it. But talking to them was transformational for me, in the sense I just realized, my God, if these kids who are in one of the top engineering colleges of India had so much of doubts and so much of questions, what would be the condition of those innumerable young engineers passing out from those plethora of engineering colleges all over India? So I leave you in part 2 with a thought. To think of these young engineers who will be passing out from the plethora of engineering colleges all over India. How employable would they be when they don't have these basic skill sets? Give me a day or give me around 2 to 3 days, and I will be back with you with part 3, in which I will tell you what this data which I gathered from all these youngsters revealed about them. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye for today. Hello friends, back with a haircut. I was DM'd by a friend of mine who said, "Da, what kind of hairstyle are you maintaining?" That got me a little thinking. I went, if talking about the hairstyle, that's another story. And that's for another day. But I did get a haircut, and now I hope people don't say that I'm looking bald. But well, all comments are welcome. And let's get into part 3. The reason I got into this was the kind of overwhelming response and the feedback which I got from all these students from NIT. Taking the total number of responses I had obtained, I did a little bit of analysis to find what kind of behavior an average NITN would display. The basic demographic of the response showed that around 47% of the respondents were between the age 20 to 22. And that was the representative group. And I also let's see how these traits vary among all these respondents. The good thing is most of them displayed a very congruent behavior. There was no dichotomy in their true behavior as well as their displayed behavior. What is seen by you and me is what is displayed to the world and is seen by all is called the outside personality. And the other part is the true personality, which is the actual person who doesn't have to put up a facade, is what we call the true personality. On evaluation of the response comes out in 2 graphical pictures. A graphical picture which says the outside personality, and the other thing is the true personality. And along with this personality scores, there are 4 sub-traits which are marked out. One is the conscientiousness, the other is the steadiness, third is the influencing, and the fourth is the dominating. And each of them have a value attributed to them. We'll see as we discuss this further. These are all percentage scores, which would be the numbers which would be against each of these 4 sub-traits which will be evaluated. The combination of these 2 graphs tell a story about this individual who has taken the evaluation. Let's look at what this data showed. Majority of the students displayed, or majority of the students showed that their consciousness trait was the highest. Well, this is a little bit of a tongue twister. Consciousness is the quality of wishing to do one's work or duty well and thoroughly. Okay, this word is a tongue twister, so I will call it compliance. Okay, so we will call it the compliance score, and it is better understood that way. The average score shows that the NITN has a value of about 68% in the compliance score out of a total of 100. The high compliance score shown by the students fits the classical personality trait of an ideal or a good child. A child who is compliant, that means he's a good student in school, following what the teachers tell and telling him to do. They get good marks. They're also the kids who listen to their parents and make the parents proud with their achievements. This behavior further continues into college also, as college somewhat replicates a school with the demand it places on pedagogy, that is, the learning and the exam oriented approach. Also, college or an engineering college is not exactly similar to a school because the teaching method is slightly different and there is a certain process change. The effect of this change can be seen in the external behavior falling from this value of 68 to 62. This happens because of the change in the learning environment, also because of the newfound freedom of staying away from the family and the dynamics of hostel and college life. The secondary style, what most children displayed was the high D score or the dominating factor. A dominating factor is a trait, or you can say it's a trait to have power or influence over the other. Their true behavior shows about 60%, which is actually happens 60%. This actually happens because of the privileges they have been enjoying at home. Since they have been seen as good children, they have been given the liberty for demanding and getting away with it. It's like saying, I want this toy, and the parents oblige. Or they demand, I want this dress only for my birthday, and the parents say, okay. Or they say, I'm going to have pizza only, and the parents say, okay, please go ahead. And they throw these tantrums and say, they get away with it. Most parents oblige to these demanding behavior because they are considered as good children, compliant students, and delivering in school. Hence, parents also ignore this dominating behavior. But now, when they enter college, you can see how this dominant score is coming down from 60 to 48 in their external demur or the outside behavior. That is because they really cannot get away with a lot of things what they got away at home. This is the learning environment. This is the environment which is making them to do or to learn new traits. It is good conditioning. A high D or a high dominating behavior is not a good trait to have when you enter the real world. The next factor is the S score or a steadiness score. Their true steadiness value is around 46. So on the lower side of the median, in the 50 is considered to be the midway score for all traits. You will ask, what is the steadiness trait? Steadiness trait or the S type show great people skills. Okay, that is their strength. They are patient, being sympathetic, they are good listening abilities, they help calm situations, they steady environments. The steadiness score describes the quality of an individual of being regular, even, continuous in their behavior pattern, or more so predictable. For most IITians, the steadiness, though, is a little bit on the lower side, can be attributed to the security and comfort provided by staying within the family. That is, staying in their family and their homes. Hence, they never have to be bothered so much about the quality like having patience, being consistent, steady, cooperative, or helping in delegating or being a team person. Because they are seen as active, energetic, spontaneous, normal, healthy kids. But when they come to college, you can see a small rise in the steadiness scores. This goes from 46, goes to 49. This change in the outside personality is again being driven by the environment. As these students are learning to survive in a different environment, thus giving up certain behavioral traits like being impetuous or spontaneous or disconnect, etc., which is not very acceptable trait in a college environment or within peer groups. This change again is being made by the environment and in helping build a positive personality. But the most concerning factor is the low I, or the influencing factor. Influencing is a skill set where our behavior or approach is used to change someone else's thought process. The trait that describes the influencing factor is being enthusiastic, persuasive, charming, optimistic, friendly, or showing emotional maturity skills, etc. Now, what behavior does the influential score depict is what you will ask. A good influencing score should be around 60 to 80. At this score, one will function as an effective individual who can project his true self with confidence and get the recognition needed without antagonizing anybody. That is, you get your way and not being labeled as dominating or a climber or one who needs to suck up to obtain their ends. The score presently being shown by these youngsters as their true behavior is only 34 and their external score is only 35. That is just an increase about 1%. This low score can be understood as these skills are not so much in demand as they are growing in school and in the family circles, but must be learned to survive as you grow through college and when you get employed. But what we see is that is not happening. There is a very small increase in the external score, which is around 35, which is way below the halfway mark. Thus, like other traits, where the environment is inducing certain positive changes into the behavioral pattern of an individual, that same thing is not happening here. What the scores would describe these individuals as controlled, rational, contemplative, reciprocatory, factual, introspective, or quiet. These per se are not bad traits, but the market doesn't attribute much value. The market is looking for an enthusiastic, persuasive, charming, optimistic, friendly person. In other words, an engineer with high soft skills. These skills are the differentiators and are given more weightage, thus making these engineers more attractive when they are put up for employment. Now, if I ask you, what would you look when you have to choose between engineers having the same knowledge and skill sets? Say, 100 IT students go for an interview and they show the same knowledge level and competency. Now, obviously, you will select the student which has a higher I score will be selected because the employer sees more future in him. Right? Let's end part 3 here. And here I leave you with a question. Why are the students not developing these soft skills or these I value skills? Well, we know what an average NITN behavior pattern and style is. In the next part, we look what the market and industry needs and how does an average NITN fit in. Bye for now. Take care. See you with part 4. Bye. Hello friends. I've come back this time with part 4. Last time I was able to show you the behavior patterns of an average NITN. And hence we were able to understand them a little better. To check this further, that is to kind of revalidate, I decided to speak to few NITNs who had passed out in the last 5 to 6 years, including those who had passed out during the COVID. And they kind of agreed to the problem of low influence and low steadiness score and its associated skill sets. The children who had passed out during the COVID also said that they really missed developing better bonds with their juniors who had come or whom they had missed, and with the seniors who had passed out. Because there is a lot of interaction which takes place between the senior batch and the juniors. However, about 100 years ago, the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching released a study in which was co-authored by one Charles Ryborg Mann. In his study, he had interviewed around 1,500 qualified engineers in 1919. 1919. They were asked to reply to a questionnaire where they had to identify the skill sets, or they had to identify that thing which they believed was the most important factor associated with the success or failure of an engineer. Overwhelming, the finding showed that personal qualities, which in nowadays is called soft skill, or in today's world called soft skill, was 7 times more important than the core professional knowledge of engineering science. And these personal qualities were very important for a success as an engineer. Okay, we moved on. After about 100 years, that is as late as 2017, a second study was conducted based on this Ryborg questionnaire or Ryborg-Mann study. The questionnaire was sent out to 30,000 members of four large engineering societies in America by the National Soft Skill Association of USA. And each member was asked to find or to list the 6 qualities needed by an engineer. What were these top 6 qualities? Character, judgment, efficiency, understanding of others, knowledge, and technique. Notice that the top four points are soft skills or behavior traits. Only the last 2 are hard skill knowledge. Even my course mate, Basab Ghosh, in his comment said, "Wish someone did this study for us when we were in college, as I find a good connect." Yes, it was a problem in our times too. A quick look at the curriculum used in engineering colleges across the country will reveal that nothing has changed much over these 100 years. Still, maximum importance is given to subject, that is this knowledge skill, and not many credit courses are conducted on soft skills. Education institutions simply ignore all this research on the importance of soft skill, even though employers for long have been requesting for it. Engineering colleges continue to teach technical knowledge and its associated skill. That is, if a mechanical engineer is being taught mechanical engineering, all the subjects allowed with that, CAD, which is today's world, very important skill set, or CNC machine program, which is part of their core skill. This is important, no doubt, and I am in no way suggesting that technical knowledge or associated skill is not needed. Technical knowledge and the associated techniques are the bedrock for the making of an engineer. But what is required over and above that is something else. But if you realize, with this new chat GPT coming up, teaching itself in engineering colleges is heading for a major change. Talking to these students was an eye-opener for me. As I've told you before, they told me what was happening in their classrooms during lectures and how they studied for the exam. It's very different Most of them say that they find most of their subject knowledge from Google. Classes go on. They say they have so many students in the class that whether he studies or he doesn't study doesn't make a difference in the class. Just before the exam, Google is their constant companion which gives them knowledge and information. So ChatGPT is going to surely revolutionize the way teaching and learning is going to happen. The sad thing is engineering colleges still go on focusing on the old process of knowledge imparting, but not incorporating structured soft skill training and as part of their curriculum. These skills are core professional knowledge critical to the gainful employment and success of any young engineer in today's world. After having worked in the industry for so many years and I've seen the important skill and how it is a major differentiator, my discussion, especially with the staff in college, realized that the soft skills are not taught in college because there is a feeling that there is ample opportunity for these children to learn it on their own or to develop it as they feel fit. Most educational institutions assume that these young engineers possess these skills and they have learned it from their families or their experience they have obtained in participating in different extracurricular activities of college. Yes, this happens, and if you take advantage, there's no doubt about it. And the opportunity to develop there is used by only a handful. Also, there are those students who possess these soft skills and have excellent personality traits because of the background from which they come from. But there are a majority who are not so privileged. What about those children whose parents or adults who influenced them in their childhood did not possess these soft skills? How are these students going to learn such skills? Also, there are students who don't understand the importance of the experiences obtained by participating in different extracurricular activities and the other activities which happen in college, as no weightage is given to this in the curriculum. I know friends who used to say, I am a veliyakut, or means I'm a big bookworm and I didn't realize the value of soft skill when I was in college. The biggest problem is this, that these engineers will be kind of a misfit when they go out into the hyper competitive big bad world of the job market. This ignorance of these young engineers lead to costly errors, especially when they select jobs and also when they are getting hired. It is sufficient to say that when a student leaves a college and enters the working world, he or she, like most of us, were literally lost. Some figure out the skills needed and develop it. Some don't, and it takes a toll on their self-confidence. Few may be lucky in finding a mentor. Others figure it out the hard way by getting humiliated or made to feel inferior. And some of them may even get badly scarred for life. One more research which was conducted by the Howard University and the Carnegie Foundation along with Stanford Research Center had found that 85% of job successes come from having a well-developed soft and people skills. It's only 15% of the job success which comes from technical knowledge, that is hard skills and associated skills, and are not important to say to excel. You need soft skills over and above this technical or professional knowledge to really survive and excel. So I feel young engineers need to identify their gaps in their personality and have focused action in developing those skills. Also, there is a need to guide them to find these gaps and enable them to deliver performance beyond expectation. So friends, this eye-opener of an accident in which I was involved made me feel there is so much we as a community can do to touch and transform these young engineers and the would-be engineers into creative, motivated engineers such that they find their strength and the areas for development and be able to deliver performance beyond expectation. So, by seeing and talking to these engineers, I have taken it up as a challenge to reach out to maybe as many young engineers or to-be engineers to help them discover themselves and find their true potential, as I say, so that they can deliver performance beyond expectation. Friends, you'll be seeing more of me as I reach out to these youngsters to help them and mentor them. I want you to be with me on this journey. Please give me your suggestions, comments, insight, so as a community, we can touch and transform these to-be engineers and young engineers into creative, motivated individuals and help them perform beyond their expectations. Well, this brings us to the end of part 4, and they say, like most of you when watch TV says, end of season 1. Well, this is the end of season 1. You all, with your great comments, positive strokes, have motivated me further. And you've also reinforced my belief that we as a team can touch these people. Till the next season, bye for now. Take care.